Hello, I'm Fantastic, and today I'm going to talk about the new evolutions and upgrades that have just gone live in North America. So, I always love these upgrades and evolutions because they give older cards the possibility of gaining newfound value. Now, usually, or generally speaking, whenever a card receives a buff, an evolution, or some sort of upgrade, they tend to be a bit stronger in terms of power creep compared to beforehand, and it gives them a chance to stay abreast, hopefully, of current options. Sadly, I feel like this batch of upgrades wasn't as meaningful or as impactful as beforehand compared to like previous cards that were buffed. But at the same time, let's take a look at each of the cards individually. So the first one is probably going to be the most notable one for most players is Kaede. And with her new evolution or Mega Awoken form, she can have up to 4 skill boosts. So it's helpful for wood transforming teams. Everyone has a Snake Girl. And the biggest issue of Snake Girl is they lack a VDP solution. So Kaede can definitely function as a VDP solution. You get 4 skill boosts, you have VDP, some enhanced wood orb awakenings. You have an active skill that gives you 6 wood, 6 hearts, and 1 turn of haste along with orb block removal. And the drawback is if you were trying to make a system, 8 turns is awkward. 4 cards with a 7-turn cooldown make a system. I don't know the math for 8 turns, but like it's just not that convenient. But the biggest drawback I feel overall of Kaede is that if you farm Durand, there's almost no reason to actually use Kaede instead. The reason for that is both cards can provide 4 skill boosts, but instead of keeping these skill boosts after turn 1, Durand will transform, and they have VDP damage. They have large personal damage without a VDP, and they have a 7-turn base cooldown, which is stronger, that also gives haste, which in theory can make a stronger system. But the point of the matter is, I feel like if you have Durand, who was or is farmable, the need for Kaede definitely goes down. But at the same time, if you are missing that farmable card, and you don't have things like, say, Aljade for the Void damage Void, Albert for just being amazing in himself, or even Zila for a VDP solution, Kaede definitely can function. And as a leader, Kaede needs to match 2 wood combos, which is exactly what Snake Girl wants. And you get damage reduction, a sizable amount of damage reduction when you match Heart Orbs, or 2 wood combos, 2 separate instances of damage reduction. So you do have reasonable bulk, and you should be able to at least have Heart Orbs present in most cases. And 2 wood combos you definitely can possibly find a solution for. So you definitely can utilize them as a pairing for Snake Girl, especially if you have no other option. You don't have like New Year's Artemis, that sort of idea. So I feel like Kaede definitely functions as more of a budget solution, but at the same time, maybe it could bring value to your monster box. Sadly, I feel like the cards from here go a bit downhill. Freyr can have potentially super blind resist, but that means you give up skill boost plus, and you have to think, well, you're only a 2 skill boost card. Where are you really providing value? Because right now, Sena and I guess Dante Remu or even Gillian are still like strong mono fire leads, and they usually don't have too much issues. More so Freyr doesn't provide much VDP damage. They provide some passive damage, but at the same time, it's not really enough to set them apart. Maybe you could argue with 4 skill boosts, they give a haste. That's potentially, 6 effective skill boosts with 2 turns haste. You know, like that's not bad. 6 effective skill boosts is strong, but you're kind of left with a card that doesn't do that much overall. But at the same time, if you're struggling to transform, Freyr definitely can be an option. As a leader, like you are definitely a very much more budget Sena or like Beach Planner, whatever you want to think about it. Like it has an okay multiplier, but unlike Thor, who's from the same series as this, the leader pairings that they have are nowhere near as attractive because Sena is basically this but way better. And the reason why Thor I felt has some merits is because Thor can pair with Feral, and Feral didn't have damage reduction. And Thor gives 50% damage reduction, which means you can tank and stall through like Green Minoa's upgraded Siculus Strike, Raphael's preemptive 150% gravity. It just gives you a way to survive things, and this is not going to change what's going to happen if you use Freyr as a leader and you pair with someone like Sena. Like, it's not going to necessarily improve their bulk and survivability. Loki has a similar drawback. Like, you can be potentially pairing with any mono dark leader that wants to blob their orbs, but their multipliers are nothing truly spectacular, and they only give 1 turn of haste, which I'm not sure why. Freyr gave 2, but hey, whatever. Loki, I guess, gets less love. But Loki does have potentially 5 skill boosts, 1 more of the haste, I guess 6. They do have stronger VDP damage, but again, at the same time, it's not outpacing other cards currently available. Like, I just don't feel like I'm going to necessarily utilize Loki. Like, if I was, again, starved for possible cards to use as leaders, maybe you could argue that you can bring them instead, but I just feel like they're not keeping pace with other options, and they don't bring enough awakenings to counter things. Like, these killers, sure, it's damage, but you only get damage when you VDP, and it's even then, the killers are not really the best in terms of what current spawns are. Like, maybe if you're playing through AA4 where things are gods and dragons, sure, but as soon as you go to Sure Realms, god and dragon killers tend to have significantly less value. And now we come to like the Wee Jas, Chester, and etc., like these weird wizards, and they had basically zero value beforehand, and now they get a little bit of value, I feel. So Wee Jas light form has 2 light combo awakenings, so significant amounts of passive damage can be added through this sub, and they give a 1-turn delay, and they reduce all awoken skill binds by 5 turns and gain 3 hearts and 3 light orbs at random. So if you have not many other options for clearing awoken binds, maybe you could argue this could be a card you bring. You have 3 effective skill boosts if you count the delay. Like, not terrible. I feel like it's more just so a budget option if you lack other awoken bind clearing options. But on the bright side, because it's at least a 5-turn awoken bind, it's sufficient for World of Carnage or Shura Realm 1, where the longest awoken skill bind is 5 turns unless something weird happens. Next is Wee Jas in his wood form. Same idea, 2 enhanced wood combos, cloud resist, a bunch of time extends. So I feel like this has overlap with Vishnu, because Vishnu is kind of like my budget solution for like a mono wood sub. He has 2 enhanced wood combos, a bit of personal damage with a TPA. Wee Jas doesn't have the personal damage, but hey, you got the 2 enhanced wood combos, and you have the same skill boost, and you have skill bind resist, which Vishnu doesn't have. And they also have a 7-turn cooldown, along with the fact that they could delay, so more effective skill boost, but they also have that awoken skill bind clear. And like I mentioned before, there is an awoken bind in Shura Realm. The floor after Thoth and Sopdet, there's a 50% chance that the guy will spawn and give you 5 turns of Awoken Skill Bind. At least it's a useful active skill there. And creating 3 wood and 3 hearts is never a bad thing. I feel like maybe I might use them over Vishnu, maybe, especially if skill bind resist is becoming difficult for me to achieve, because I rely on Jurons and Vishnus for my mono wood teams, and none of those have skill bind resist. So a possible solution for you, maybe. Dark Chester has, again, 2 enhanced Dark combo awakenings, which is the same as Uranus. And the problem is, I feel like if you had Uranus or Chester, I don't think there would be much point in picking Chester over Uranus, because Chester has less personal damage because killers probably don't line up. Uranus has personal damage, Uranus has more skill boost, and Uranus has a much stronger active skill. Uranus gives you 3 turns of color absorb counter. Dark Chester gives you a baby tiny gravity, which is probably insignificant, 6 dark orbs, which is kind of cool, I guess, but Uranus does a board changer as well, and they give unable to match orb effect clear by 5 turns. So maybe if you have no other ways to clear unable to match orb effects, but I feel like that's probably not the case. We have so many more options available. So I feel like Pixel Chester in his dark form definitely got outpaced by Uranus. Pretty similar setup in the sense that they have the enhanced dark combo awakening, which is a dramatic increase in damage output. And then finally, Fire Chester has 2 enhanced fire combos, and they have the same type of active skill. And I guess if you didn't have, say, Christmas Gremory, you don't have Usil, because Usil can be utilized on Sena teams, maybe you could argue Chester could be a sub. And you do get at least 4 skill boosts, so it's not terrible. You have super poison resist. Like, I feel like it's more definitely a budget solution, but as far as budget solutions go, it's a little bit stronger. And then they're just listing the various buffs. So Freyr has 2 turns of haste, which is definitely an upgrade. Loki just has a cooldown reduction, so whoop-de-doo. New Super Awakenings, which I already talked about anyways. So in conclusion, like, I feel like there are some budget-friendlier cards, like the Chesters, maybe you could argue have a bit of merit. The Wee Jasses, maybe. Like, they do have these enhanced combo awakenings, but as this awakening becomes more common, like, it's still relatively new, these cards will definitely be pushed down in value, because we'll have cards with these awakenings that have much better kits overall. And like I mentioned, for Kaede, they are really just a more budgety solution for VDP or a leader if you don't have, say, New Year's Artemis or Snake Girl. With that being said, let me know what you think about these cards in the comments below. Do you think they are worth pursuing? Do you think they are meaningful? Or do they feel just a little underwhelming overall compared to the previous buffs and updates we've had in the past? Either way, hopefully all have a fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.